The Deredo Sports Complex, or more correctly, the Northern Regional Sports Complex we now see along the Harmon Loop Road, is a mere portion of what GovGuam envisioned back in the 70s. Right now, there's a gymnasium, soccer fields, baseball fields, and a pool. Department of Parks and Rec Director Pete Calvo says there is no room for anything else.
The front portion of the Regional Sports Center has been developed almost to saturation.
But the original plans included many more acres of property, in fact 270 acres in total, with many of the acres now sitting behind the old pipeline road at the back of the current complex.
We are noticing a lot of encroachment in that there has been some farmers that are basically right across the pipeline road right now. There are houses and stuff that have been built in that area. Some of those properties have been leased by the land trust. I'm not sure how, but we're hoping that can be cleared up through our questions, both to land management and to the AG.
Back in the 90s, the Chamorro Land Trust Commission somehow acquired the property and began leasing it out. But Calvo says they need these properties in order to build an Olympic-sized pool and tennis courts for the Guam Tennis Federation. Department of Land Management Director Monty Mofness admits that this property was originally all meant for the sports complex, but he says that a public law was passed saying that any properties not reserved by GovGuam agencies would go back into the CLTC.
Any properties that were not identified as a wish list with the regulatory agencies will be transferred back into Chamorro Land Trust.
Thus, this property behind the pipeline, which was supposed to be part of the sports complex, went to the CLTC, and the CLTC leased it out back in the 90s. Although all of this happened well before Mofness's time, he says they are leases that he must adhere to.
It's a lease that's been signed, and I stand by the leases. Unconditionally and unequivocally. Insurmountable task to try and displace all these families. They are native Chamorros, they're beneficiaries of the trust.
Mofness says that the original sports complex plan called for a lot of things he believes aren't necessarily needed. For example, an archery range, lawn bowling course, a golf course, and even a zoo. But he admits that the property probably should have stayed with the sports complex. So while he's not willing to evict people, he is willing to swap some unused CLTC property with Parks and Rec, quote, meter for meter.